Just about 6:53, 58 degrees, taking a step back in time. We do it every Monday here on Daybreak during Story Time with Aunt Phil.
This week, author Laurel Downing Bill takes us back more than 100 years ago to tell us about the first school in Anchorage.
It's the first day back at school for Anchorage kids, and now there's 8 high schools, countless middle and elementary schools. It's hard to imagine that education in Anchorage began in just one building.
Yeah, that would be here at the Pioneer School, which now sits on the corner of Eagle and 3rd. It used to house students over on 4th, but as Laurel tells us, it almost never got off the ground at all, regardless of location, because of a lack of funding.
The Alaska Engineering Commission kind of had an oversight when they sold those lots on 4th Avenue in July 1915. Now they sold them with the provision that lots would be assessed to provide for things like sewer, water, fire protection. But they totally forgot about providing for a school, which of course all communities need a good school.
But there is a group of women that really pioneered to get funding to make it happen and build this school.
The women of the Anchorage area banded together and they formed the Anchorage Women's Club, headed by Jane Mears. Now, she was the wife of Frederick Mears with the Alaska Engineering Commission, and they fought tooth and nail and finally convinced the federal government to issue funds to build a school. Completed in November of 1915, townspeople said it was totally inadequate from the get-go. The building had no foundation, was not painted, had no heating system, and they said the outdoor toilet facilities were absolutely deplorable and did not meet townsite standards. But teachers had to teach anyway, so they had about 90 students. The teachers had to work in shifts to be able to accommodate and teach them. We're subjected to some pretty rigorous rules as well, like they had to teach for 10 hours a day and then go home and read the Bible or other good books to keep their character intact.
This whole rules thing has me intrigued now. Can you tell us about some other ones that are maybe just as interesting?
Oh my gosh, they were really strict with teachers back in the day. If a woman got married or she was dating somebody, it was considered kind of unseemly behavior, and so she was terminated. Other rules included men could not go to pool halls or gambling dens, and they could not be shaved in a barber shop. That would call their character into question.
So eventually people would move out and go into different schools that were built, and this was actually moved here because of the earthquake?
Well, yeah, this school, it lasted for about 2 years, but after 2 years, the population of the student body had moved to 200, so they had to build a brand new school, which opened in December of 1917, and then this one was only used for an overflow of students. It was moved up to 6th Avenue, and then after the great earthquake of '64, it found its new home here at 3rd and Eagle, and is now used as a meeting location that is run by the Anchorage Women's Club, which was one of the original groups that actually got the school built in the first place.
School now back in session for Anchorage kids, and they're all walking into buildings that have seen some serious upgrades since this one more than 100 years ago.
A very cool story. I can hear you chuckling a little bit at the rules for the teachers. Who knew?
I don't want to go get a bucket of water every day before class.
And coal. And did you see that men could only court one night a week? They could court 2 nights a week if they regularly attended church.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
So if you don't, just 1 happy hour a week. That's it. Better take advantage of that opportunity.